for coming. My name is Tim Moore. I am currently an intern with Marquette University Sports Performance Department. My first semester here was in January of this year. The sport I'm going to present on today is going to be field hockey. To start off with, I'd like to take a brief overview of my needs analysis. So looking at the primary movements of the sport, you can expect to see a lot of standing, walking, jogging, or low intensity activities, approximately 60% of the game. Then you're going to have striding, sprinting, cutting, accelerating, rapid change of direction, or higher intensity activities, approximately 40% of the game. Now looking at your physiological analysis of the sport, there's two big ones. The first one, we're going to get muscular endurance. There's going to be a lot of repeated sprinting, cutting, stopping, all that type of stuff. And then the big one's going to be muscular power, especially again, said for sprinting, accelerating, rapid change of direction, all that. And also when hitting the ball, there's going to be a lot of stick handling and hitting as well. So there, it's specifically going to be the core's ability to transfer the ground reaction forces up through the magnetic chain. From there then, let's take a couple minutes to look at my annual plan. So you notice on the top, for the calendar, I have the start of each week on there. Below that then, we're going to have some important dates. Then after that, we're going to get into each one of the phases. We're going to have the off-season, preseason, in-season, and the transition. And below that, then we're going to have the focus, what we're going to specifically be working on during each of those phases. Then we're going to have the duration for each phase, as well as the intensity for the week or the day. And at the very bottom, I have a little bit of an explanation for each of the training phases. It's going to kind of explain what the goal is, and then the sets, reps, and intensity we'll be using for each of the phases. So we're going to start off, it's kind of hard to see, we're going to start off with the off-season phase, and it's actually going to start with lifting on your own, which will take place in the middle of December over winter break. So this is going to be really going to be the only change an athlete's going to have to get away and to be able to lift on their own. From there then, the spring semester is going to begin January 12th, and the off-season training is going to move back onto campus. I'm going to talk more specifically about the off-season in just a minute here. So following the off-season then, it's going to bring us in to the preseason over here, which is going to begin in the middle of July, and it's going to last for 6 weeks. During that time frame, the primary focus is developing field hockey specific power. That's going to take us right up to the beginning of the season then, which is going to begin in the end of August, and we're going to be in season for 13 weeks. The primary focus here in this time frame is to maintain strength and keep the athlete healthy and on the field. Important thing to point out on here is an important date, kind of hard to see at the top. That first week in November is going to be the Big East Championship, and then 2 weeks after that is going to be the NCAA Championships. And also, I don't have it on here, typical field hockey games take place on either a Friday, Saturday, or a Sunday. All right, so let's start off by talking about my off-season. So it's going to run from January 12th through July 12th, so it's going to be 26 weeks, which is going to be a long off-season. The goals during this time frame are to develop an endurance base, increase lean body mass, and strengthen the muscles essential to field hockey. So since it is such a long season, I decided to run 2 rotations of the hypertrophy endurance phase and basic strength phases, followed by 1 strength power phase towards the end of the off-season. The frequency for the off-season is going to be based on 4 days per week. So what I have here then, I have a sample for actually the first 4 weeks of my hypertrophy endurance workouts. You'll notice for the main lift, it's going to be the back squat. We're going to start off with a lower intensity. So for this first 4 weeks, we're going to be at 65 and then 67% intensity. And you notice the rep scheme, for some of the reps, we're going to be higher, so we'll be in that 12 to 15 rep range. So what we have here then, we have a basic strength workout. So this would be the next 4 weeks, so weeks 5 through 8. Again, looking at the intensity for that main lift, the back squat, it's going to start to increase. So now we're up to 75 and 80%. And then the rep scheme is going to drop a little bit. So previously we were 12 to 15. Now we're down to 8 to 10. So we're going a little bit heavier, increasing the weight. What I have here now is a strength power workout. So this will be done towards the end of the off season. So the big thing here is you notice I added in cleans along with some mobility work. The cleans were put in for some explosive movements as a power exercise, since we're trying to get that strength into power. And then you notice again for my back squat, I increased my intensity again from the previous phase. We're at 85, 87, and 88% now. I'd also like to point out too that I started to incorporate some med ball throws and some plyometrics as well. Again, with more explosive type exercise to develop power. All right, so following the off season, we have the preseason. So for the preseason, we're looking at July 13th through August 23rd, so 6 weeks. The goal during this time frame again is to convert strength gains into field hockey specific power. Now I chose to use contrast training. What that is, it's a method of training where you combine a heavy strength exercise compared with a lighter power exercise. Typically it's going to be a plyometric exercise, and the idea behind that is you want to try and mimic a similar movement pattern as that strength exercise. It's based on the idea of a concept that most of you have probably heard of before, post-activation potentiation. If not, a little rundown of what that is. Basically, you're going to use a heavy exercise to maximally recruit the nervous system. Then you're going to take advantage of that maximum recruitment by adding some type of plyometric exercise, which is going to increase motor unit recruitment and thus force output. When using contrast training, it's important to use an intensity between 80 and 90%. You want to be able to go heavy enough in order to elicit the maximum recruitment, and you also want to allow about a 2 to 3 minute recovery in between each contrast set. So when we get into the preseason, we're going to cut the lifting down to 3 days per week. So what I have here then is a preseason workout. So this will be the first 3 weeks of the preseason. So you notice here for my main exercise, I took the back squat and I paired that with the box jump, which again is going to be a similar movement pattern. And also I added in some more med ball work and some faster movements, since we're trying to get the athlete ready for the start of the season. We want to start to increase the speed of some of those movements as well. And then the last phase we have the in-season phase. So this is going to take place between August 24th and November 22nd. So we're looking at approximately 13 weeks. The goal during this time frame then is to maintain strength levels and keep that athlete healthy and on the field. I chose to run 3-week mini cycles. What I mean by that, for the first weeks 1 through 3, I'll select one main exercise. So like for example, for a lower body, we can pick a back squat. Followed by the next 3 weeks, then we would go to a front squat. Or if we're looking at upper body, the first 3 weeks might be like a barbell bench press, and the second 3 weeks might be a dumbbell press or an incline press. And also, I'm going to also change up some of the accessory lifts as well, so they're getting something new. The intensity, you want to stay in that 70 to 85% intensity range, since our goal again is to try and maintain the strength we gained in the off season. And the frequency for in-season training would be 2 days per week. Ideally, depending what day of the game is, we'd like to give them a day of rest after the game. But ideally, like a Monday, Wednesday, or a Tuesday, Thursday split would be ideal. What I have here then is one of my sample in-season workouts. This would actually be the first 3 weeks of the in-season. This would be a lower body workout. But you notice it may look similar to my preseason workout, except for the intensity for that back squat, we're going to decrease. I'm also going to add in some mobility work, kind of keep the athlete loose, and again try and prevent injuries. And again, I talked about in preseason, you want to add a lot of quick movements, fast velocities. That's what I got going on here. You'd want to add some med ball work, jumps, throws. So here I have a landmine road press. We're looking for that explosive motion there. Med ball scoop toss with a lot of rotational work. And then we have box jumps as well. That is what I have for you today.
Yep, Nick.
Nick.
So you talked about how the off season starts on their own.
Yes.
How are you gonna account for the athlete that just decides not to lift during that time frame, right when they come back?
That'd be when I would give them like prescribe some workouts to do over break, and kind of give it to them and have them do it on their own. Kind of check in with them, see if they're doing it. But I guess when they're away, you can't force them to do it. They'll be pretty apparent then when they come back, and the off season starts again on campus.
Will that change how you, what you do at the beginning if you notice?
I'm going to start light regardless. I mean, we're going to build intensity. We're going to start with like hypertrophy endurance. So the volume and intensity going to be low to begin with. So it's really not going to make too much of a difference. If I know if they're really deconditioned or out of shape, may alter a little bit. For the most part, we're going to start light and gradually build up the intensity as we go.
So, what are some common injuries that you might have to deal with field hockey?
Yep, a lot of hamstring injuries, ACL injuries, a lot of stopping, cutting, change of direction, lower back injuries, and some concussions as well could be an issue as well.
Any other questions?